I'm assuming you're a Tiger fan. I would be worried for you. I would set out some welfare checks if you're a Trojan in Baton Rouge the next couple of weeks. But what's on your mind?
Tell me about center Jonah Monheim. Of course, we talked a lot about the LSU offensive line. Do me a favor and tell me about the USC center, who a lot of people are calling an elite center in college football, because this LSU defensive line, of course, is a little inexperienced. Tell me a little bit about Jonah Monheim and why he might be a factor in this game. If I'm saying his name correctly, of course.
Yeah, you're saying it perfectly correct. Thank you. Great question, and I'd love to talk about him. He's been with the program for a while. He's kind of like the veteran line. Mason Murphy's been there for a little while too, but he's done everything that this program's asked him to do. He's played guard. They kicked him out to. And here's a great story. So they moved him out to left tackle last year, and PFF. Right, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they do a lot of the grading, and they graded him out as one of the best left tackles in college football. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Chat and Mark, but geez, now you got me doing it, Matt. Sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they said he would have been the top or one of the top left tackles if he had remained at left tackle this season. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. The guy is versatile. The one thing you hear from the coaching staff is just about how smart he is, how quickly he was picking everything up. Henson was talking about that early. So was Miller Moss, and so was Lincoln Riley. The first words always out of their mouth, because we know the guy is physical. And Henson would just say, "Hey, look, I just got to teach him, to get low, get his elbows in, right, and just more about just the inside blocking, like a phone booth instead of being outside at the tackle position." He's bumped him inside because that's where he's going to probably play in the NFL. We know the NFL, they're very particular about, right, wingspans and heights, etc. So he projects as an interior lineman, and really first time at center, that's never good. I know your weakness, right? For your guys, you're breaking in a new center who's never played center as well. Is that correct? I think so. It's like the weak part of your line.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Former four-star from Atlanta, Georgia, DJ Chester, who was one of the larger centers coming out of his recruiting class. But he'll be our starting center, 6'6", 320.
The benefit that maybe your center won't have that our center does is Jonah's been now in the system. He's had 3 springs with Lincoln Riley, 2 full seasons with Lincoln Riley. He knows the system, and he's just, when you're talking about the center, they got to make all those line calls. There's a lot more to it than just blocking at that center position. And I think that's why all the coaches and Miller were all quick to just talk about how smart. And what's really great about this season, and I'm really happy, is that Miller's also, when they talk about, he's a cerebral quarterback. He's a very bright kid. He sees things, things slow. Riley was just talking about how things just seem to slow down for him. And he reacts very well. He picks stuff up very well. So seeing those two guys together, along with Lincoln Riley being in his ear with the helmet communication, I'm thinking that even in some crazy environments, where I think maybe some of our younger players that happen to be, one of them happens to be our left tackle, I think that veteran presence at center is going to pay off as a leadership role as well, because he was a captain last year on the team, and I'm pretty sure tonight they're probably announcing, it's probably already been announced if somebody's at Salute to Troy, that he's most likely going to be a captain of the team as well. So I hope that scratches your itch about our center. He's clearly our best lineman. People have talked about maybe if someone went down, if God forbid something happened to Elijah Page, would they kick him out over, and then put someone in at center? I don't think so. I think they're going to do outside, because he's going to be a special part of this defense, special part of the offensive line this year.
The other piece to mention, Brian, is that
because what was that, sir?
The other piece of this to mention, Brian, is that USC's offensive line struggled last year, and it struggled last year in part because an interior offensive lineman who wasn't the center.
Maybe Matt, if you get a little closer to you break up a little for me too. Get a little closer to your mic, maybe.
Yeah, in 2022, Justin Dedich was not playing center in 2023. They moved him over to center, and it didn't go well. So USC did not get elite performance from its center last year. So that magnifies the importance of Jonah Monheim playing center for this USC offensive line. The center position was a weakness for USC last year, so Monheim needs to be a significant upgrade in order for this offensive line to come together.
Yeah.
I got you. And one other question I had for you was Achille Arnold is one of the most impressive athletes I've seen USC have in the secondary in quite some time. I remember when he came out of Mission Viejo a couple of cycles ago. Shout out to Mission Viejo, elite program down there in Southern California. He'll be going up against his LSU wide receiving core, which is relatively inexperienced because a lot of these guys are rotational guys behind, of course, our last two 1,000-yard receivers, Malik Neighbors and Baton Rouge's very own Brian Thomas. But the guys replacing them are pretty big athletes. Malik Neighbors, 6'2.5", 215. CJ Daniels, 6'3", 218. Chris Hilton, former 5-star from Zachary, which is in North Baton Rouge, 6'1", 205. Some pretty heavy, maybe not as tall as the guys Florida State had last year, but some pretty meaty athletes. You mentioned USC is pretty tall in the secondary. What is USC's strategy for going up against this very heavy, very fast, very physical LSU wide receiving core?
I like the fact about USC. If you watch, like, for instance, something like John Humphreys played last year, right? If he's on the field, I'm sure he's gonna be in the rotation somewhere. He's a very physical corner. We witnessed that firsthand as Trojans last year. DeCarlos Nicholson, coming over from Mississippi State, also another big guy. I believe he's 6'2", maybe taller, and they have size to them. So I think the matchups on the outside that you just named and athletes, I think that they're going to match up very well. I can't really go into even say that I know how they're going to cover and approach the game, but I will tell you they have size, they have strength, they're technicians, they're tough, they're not soft, and they're going to be up and physical at the line, I'm sure. So yeah, it's gonna be a great matchup. I think that's gonna be that we need the big thing here is I know about your guys' line. We need somehow to get some pressure. It just has to happen. If without pressure, I don't care how good your secondary is, you're gonna get in trouble. But if the defensive line, and I think they can get some pressure on you guys, that's gonna be a fun matchup to see, because you're saying you got tall physical receivers. We got a tall physical secondary, and that might be a great matchup to watch on Sunday.
Looking forward to it. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. USC and LSU was a matchup 20 years in the making. Both teams tied for a national championship in 2003 and 2004. Of course, USC went to win the actual championship in 2004, one of the greatest college football teams ever. Led by Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush. And, the two programs kind of mirror each other. Both programs have had Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. Both programs have been NFL factors. I think this game is a culmination of two of the most dominant college football programs of the early 2000s. So definitely looking forward to it, even though you already know what my allegiance leads to, especially me being from I'm from the New Orleans area originally, but I grew up in Baton Rouge. And also shout out to my young and ingredient man, he's from Algiers, who's in the West Bank in New Orleans. So shout out to him. Pray he has a good game, and look forward to a very, very physical matchup.
I think that we're going to see better defenses on both sides. I think it is going to be a physical game. I'll tell you what, if you would ask me to predict a score back in the spring, I would have given you a completely different number. But I do think that with Lynn and Baker, I think that both defenses are going to move in the right direction. And Brian, that was a great call. Thank you so much. This is exactly why I love my Trojan callers. I love our callers. That's why we're having a call-in show. You brought a lot of great information to us, Brian. Wish you the best of luck on the season. I can't say I'm going to be wishing for you guys on Sunday, but very, very intelligent call, very great on-point call, and appreciate it. Maybe you can call in, win, lose, or draw. well, win or lose. Sorry, there's no more draws. Win or lose, and we can hear thoughts on the game after the game on Sunday.